I am a son of Lebanese parents born in New York.
My identity is often questioned.
I'm from Israel, living in California.
We basically grew up very assimilated.
Pinanganak ako sa Pilipinas.
ببيان بلبنان من عمر السبع
Me
سنين.
identifico como Latina.
אני ליאור, אני ישראלי.
Mind, body, and ancestry integration. This is migration. Hola, hola. This is Joanna. Thank you for joining me today. I have a really special guest, my beautiful husband, Alan, who has recently read my post about finding the right therapist and has some questions for me that I hope you find helpful.
So if you could go back to a past self, your past self, when you were looking for your first therapist, what is something that you know now that would have been helpful for that past self?
In those initial interviews, really connecting to how my body responds to the person that's in front of me. So is my body tense, or is it very relaxed, or is it, like I normally am on a regular day? What does my breathing say when I speak to this person? Do I feel like I can be myself even in the very first meeting, whether it's talking on the phone with a consultation or on a video chat or in person? Just really tuning in to the wisdom of my body beyond my mind, because I think I put a lot of attention into what my mind kept saying about the different types of therapists and their list of specializations and degrees and all these other sort of expectations that I had for them. And I disregarded the feeling in my body when I met them. And so I would really hone into connecting to my body's wisdom.
So something you also mentioned in your post was about how your search started off focusing on certain characteristics or elements of the therapist's background. So being Spanish speaking, being from Latin America, or of, a certain ethnicity or maybe nationality. How did that end up? Did you end up finding your therapist with those checkboxes marked, or did you end up somewhere else completely? How did that shake out?
So the first therapist I interviewed was South American, and that did not turn out well. I left the first session not feeling well at all. And I think it was a good opportunity for me to be more open. I think at the time I really swore by being seen by somebody who was preferably from my country and spoke my language and looked like me, or felt like looked like me or had my similar experiences. But I think it was a really powerful experience to have that first meeting not go so great, because it opened up possibilities for me. I did end up and currently have a therapist that's from that's also Latin American. However, before this therapist, I was more open to seeking somebody. Again, going back to that first question you asked, somebody whom I feel safe with beyond even, cultural or language. I don't know if language would ever be like I don't know. We'll have to see in the future, but language is still pretty big deal for me, like being able to speak in Spanish in my therapy. However, definitely open to, to other cultures, other ethnicities. Thanks actually to that first meeting, with the first therapist that I interviewed.
And you seem pretty optimistic about folks finding that person who's for them. I mean, pretty much anyone who's listening, unless they're just a fan or a friend or family member, they're looking, maybe even if they are one of those people, they're looking for a therapist. And at the end you say, well, that person's out there for you. What fuels that optimism? I mean, especially, let's say you're speaking to a person who's tried 500 times. What gives you the belief that there is a person out there that's for them?
That's a great question. I mean, I will start, naming that. Obviously, I'm going to be biased regarding that because I am a therapist, right? I came into this profession believing in this type of work, believing that there can be healing in relationship. And so, I'll name my bias. However, I was a skeptic when I was younger, and I didn't go into detail on this post about that, but I did say that it took me many years to actually want to find a therapist. And so I was part of that, a percentage of people that maybe believe therapy doesn't work, or it hasn't worked for them in their experiences. But I am very hopeful about it because I just trust that through the therapeutic relationship, there is healing. And yes, of course, techniques and the type of studies that your therapist has, they all take into account into the kind of experience you're going to have. But I just truly believe that there are people out there who really care about healing and healing in relationship, healing in community, healing, being part of a community of healers. And not to say that the therapist is gonna do the healing, but actually the person seeking the therapist, the person seeking therapy for themselves, that in itself is such a courageous thing to do, that it starts in itself a process of healing in that person. And so I just really trust that even if you have really negative experiences in your journey, trying to find that person that is out there for you, that you will find someone whom you will feel safe with and who you will have a journey with, a journey of healing for whatever it is that you're coming to therapy for.
So we talked a little bit about fit. And I think that's one of the obstacles. There's another obstacle, and it's probably the elephant in the room, which is the price of therapy. What has been your experience and journey figuring out what to pay, how much to pay, do you pay? Just talk a little bit about your thoughts or your experiences around the financial aspect of finding a therapist and doing therapy.
Yeah, so, I really wish that wasn't an issue, but it actually, and just talking to friends and family, it's kind of the main thing that is brought up, it's like, well, I'm not going to pay that much for private therapists. Or there's even some friends of mine that have said, like, I am not going to pay the copay, even though it's like, whatever amount that may seem small, like, I'm just not willing to do that right now. And I think I also was one of those people, before I encounter just the powerful transformation that there has had in my life. And yeah, I definitely did not see that as a priority at all, you know? And so I think now, though, after having tried to do it through my insurance and not having super great luck finding a therapist that worked for me, and this is not to say that looking for a therapist within your insurance that you're not going to find a great therapist. That's not true. Like, there are plenty of success stories that I've heard from colleagues to clients to, you know, family and friends that have had, you know, only had to pay, I don't know, $20 for each session, and they found a great therapist through their insurance. That's wonderful. However, that wasn't my particular case, unfortunately. So I had to decide. I said, well, I know that I want this for my life. My finances at the time, or our finances at the time, weren't necessarily, you know, the most fluid to say, let's just like do private therapy. But I think we both, and I'll get to interview you one day so you can share with people to your journey, but we both decided that that was a priority for us. And surprisingly enough, even though we were both paying for private therapy, somehow money stretched. Like, as if we prioritized that, and we prioritized our health, and everything else just kind of fell into place. And so, you know, I think obviously depends on everybody's own financial, situation, how much you're going to be able to spend or not. But I do believe that, one, there are free resources, like free mental health resources through local organizations that can be accessed. There is the option of doing copay through your insurances, and there's option of private pay as well. They all come with pros and cons, you know, all of which are important for the person to look into. However it is that you end up reaching out for a therapist, to not let the financial burden stop you to take that first step. And I am sure too that, you know, and it has been our experience, like friends and family who want to support a healing journey. There's people out there too that would want to sponsor your therapy. You know, don't be shy to ask, you know, that mentor of yours, or, you know, a family member who's doing really well. I am sure that there's people out there who want to support your journey of healing.
Well, that's a little insight into Joanna's journey. And tune in next time for more stories, conversation, reflections, insights on finding the therapist that's right for you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this charla, make sure to subscribe. If you want more information about Mindgration, connect through the link on the description below. And join me next time in this space where we can explore how the mind, body, and soul can thrive in this adopted land called home.